Let's talk about the truth, or at least the version of it pumped out daily by Canada's state broadcaster, the CBC. CBC likes to pretend it's a firewall against fake news, a champion of the facts, the moral compass in an age of misinformation.
Federal election has kicked off, and many of you have asked how CBC News will be fact-checking claims made on the trail. From missing context to full-blown conspiracies, we have a game plan. The fact-check team is responsible for researching, writing, and reporting on claims made by political parties and their leaders on election issues. This could include policy statements, campaign matters, or issues about the leaders themselves. Generally, this is what our day looks like. Every morning, the senior producer, me, decides on the fact-check priorities in collaboration with the election assignment desk. Then I assign the fact-check team with what stories they're going to work on, as well as what treatments they might do and which platforms they'll go on. The team will build a database of facts that reporters and producers can then refer to. It's meant to be comprehensive and easily searchable for journalists who are working on stories.
But if you've paid any attention over the last few years, you'll know they're not the hose putting out the fire. They're the ones lighting the match and then also bringing a jerry can of gas to make it worse. Let's talk about something seemingly innocent: black olives. I saw this story this morning and I knew I just had to talk about it. In 2019, CBC's French language show La Piscierie aired a sensational segment suggesting black olives weren't naturally ripened but chemically dyed. It spooked a viewer in Quebec so badly, she launched a class action lawsuit. Not against CBC, mind you, but against grocery giants like Walmart, Loblaw, Sobeys. She accused them of selling fake food to millions of unsuspecting Canadians. Why? Because she believed the CBC. She took them at their word. But the claim was bogus. As first reported by Blacklock's reporter, the process in question is called oxidation. And ferrous gluconate, a federally approved compound, is used to stabilize the black color. Not dye it. It's safe, it's regulated, and listed on the label. The judge threw the case out, calling the CBC-fueled panic vague and imprecise. That's a nice way of saying it was misinformation. So the CBC makes a bogus claim. Viewers, believing them, panic, and innocent businesses get hauled to court to defend themselves. And CBC, they walk away like nothing happened. It's a pattern, especially when it comes to food, actually. Let's talk about chicken. In 2017, CBC's Marketplace claimed Subway's chicken sandwiches were only about 50% chicken. The rest, you name it, soy filler.
Subway adds that the other samples don't.
Soy protein. Why would you need to put more protein in a chicken product?
A lot of great binding capabilities, potentially improved texture, those type of things. And in some sense, it also makes the product slightly more cost-effective.
Okay, so cheaper.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Remember, our DNA test shows Subway strips and oven-roasted chicken could be only about 50% chicken. And guess what? The rest? Mostly soy.
So it's very likely that they're probably making more of a product that contains this ground chicken and forming it into a patty.
It made national headlines. Viewers were disgusted. If you care about not eating soy, and I do, you were not going back to Subway. Subway's brand was dragged through the dirt. Subway fought back. They had independent labs test their product. The results showed far more chicken than CBC claimed. So Subway sued CBC for $210 million in damages, alleging defamation and reputational harm. At first, CBC dodged accountability. A judge tossed the case under Ontario's anti-slap laws, not because CBC's reporting was accurate, they never actually said that, but because it was deemed in the public interest, even if it was wrong. But in 2021, the Ontario Court of Appeal overturned that decision, saying Subway's case had merit, and I think it does, and deserved a full trial. That case is still active 4 years later. And yes, you, the taxpayer, you are footing the bill for CBC's legal defense. So we've got bogus olive stories triggering lawsuits and chicken scandals leading to multi-million-dollar court battles. But the CBC doesn't just hurt companies with their lies. They go after people too. Take Rebel News reporter Drea Humphrey. During the 2025 federal election, Drea asked a question at the leaders' debate. Remember this?
Hello, Mr. Singh. Drea Humphrey with
Drea.
Rebel News. Your party takes great pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and
Sorry, I
online...
didn't get your outlet.
Drea Humphrey with Rebel News.
Okay.
Your party...
You know where I'm going to go with this, all right?
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can. I'm just going to say you know where I'm going to go with it, though.
Wow.
Your party takes pride in standing against hate such as white
garbage.
supremacy,
It's a garbage
Islamophobia, and
man.
online hate speech. Yet you stay silent about ongoing attacks against Christians, even after conservative MP Jamil Javani's order paper question revealed that over 200 churches have been targeted by arson and vandalism since claims of remains being discovered at former residential schools swept the nation in 2021. These claims have been disproven by bands that excavated and remain unproven by those that have not. Will you condemn the rise in acts of hate against Christians today and explain what your party will do moving forward to keep Christians safe from hate in Canada?
Again, thank you, but I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes
What a ridiculous
misinformation and
person.
disinformation like Rebel News. So no, I'm not going to respond to your question.
Wow.
What she said had
Questions and answers
had
short.
no
We're
misinformation
just
in
getting
it.
up to time.
Perhaps you didn't hear me. Over 200 Christian places of worship have been attacked in Canada since 2021. Many served First Nations communities, many were historic, and they diverted police and resources and put others at risk. What do you say to Canadians who see your refusal to answer, especially from one of the few media outlets here that are not funded by the state,
Beautiful.
as proof that a vote for you is a vote for a dangerous radical party that gaslights the public into thinking it stands against hate when its silence is instead emboldening Christophobia?
Your question is another example of why I don't respond to agencies like Rebel News that promote misinformation and disinformation.
Now, that same night, CBC's Rosemary Barton accused Drea on national television of spreading misinformation about Kamloops residential school graves and church burnings. Look at this.
There's three right-wing, very right-wing media, we can call them media, websites that are present in there. They get in line to ask a question like anybody else. Their accreditation has been approved by the Commission of Debates, and so they get the right to stand in line and ask a question that they choose to ask. In this case, you saw Mr. Singh, and this has been his position for some time, to refuse to answer questions. Rebel News in particular traffics in misinformation, facts, lack of facts, and as you heard in that question, which was woven with some truth and some things that weren't true. Yes, there have been burnings of Christian Catholic churches. Yes, there have been remains of Indigenous children found in various places around the country, which she misrepresented. We'll see if Mr. Poilievre gets any questions from right-wing organizations. I would suspect.
What Barton said was the misinformation. What Barton said was the complete fabrication. And by the way, Drea was on site at CBC Radio Canada, same place that Barton was. Did Barton ever invite Drea on to give her the right of reply, to get her side of the story? Definitely not, although that is responsible journalism. CBC and responsible journalism, they don't know each other. Now, Barton's smear was so egregious that CBC had to issue a correction on its website. But did Rosemary Barton ever apologize? Did she correct the record on air the way CBC's own retraction policy demands? Nope, not even once. There was no retraction during the nightly news. No apology to Drea, just a silent back page correction online. Buried like an afterthought. No accountability, no consequences. And speaking of Kamloops, let's not forget how CBC breathlessly reported that 215 children had been buried in a mass grave. That was the claim. It ran for weeks, months. In fact, the CBC still calls residential school discoveries mass graves. I found this morning. And to this date, it should be noted that at least at Kamloops, no bodies have been exhumed. No forensic evidence has confirmed the existence of a mass grave or any grave at all. The CBC, however, didn't question any of those facts. They didn't verify. They just ran with it. And what was the result? National mourning, church burnings, statue topplings, division, a full-blown moral panic built on radar anomalies and zero exhumations. And when the truth began to trickle out, again, CBC, quiet, no correction, no retraction, no reflection, let's just all move along. Nothing to see here. So let's add it all up. CBC scares viewers with a false story about olives. And innocent grocers get sued. I mean, it's laughable, but innocent grocers got sued because of the lies. CBC botches chicken DNA claims. Subway gets smeared, then sues. The case is still alive. We're paying for it. CBC defames a journalist, no apology. CBC fuels mass hysteria over a mass grave that has yet to be proven, and no one at the network gets held to account. And you, as I said, pay for it all. CBC receives $1.5 billion a year in taxpayer money. That's your money funding this misinformation train wreck. They don't just fail to report the truth, they bulldoze it, spin it, bury it, and then demand praise for the wreckage. They're not Canada's answer to disinformation. They're the problem. That phone call's coming from inside the house, CBC. They hurt businesses, they destroy reputations, they fan hysteria, and when they get caught, they issue a one-line correction on a webpage nobody sees, while the reputational damage they caused lives on. CBC says it exists to protect the public, but ask yourself, who's protecting the public from them?